And welcome, everyone. I'm Bill Newell, along with Phil Stacy, Matt Williams, Nick Kukaroo, and the sports writers are here. And we're here to talk some sports, some of the latest tournament news that we have. We're going to mix it up a bit this week. We're going right to Nick Kukaroo. Nick, we're going there was a scheduled tennis match for Tuesday afternoon involving Manchester Essex, but it got postponed or delayed till likely Wednesday now, as it is scheduled. But why don't you fill us in on the Manchester Essex tennis, and then we'll talk about some other Cape Ann stuff.
Yeah, sure. So, they're going for a fourth state championship since 2011 when once they expanded the field there in girls tennis to Division III, and Manchester Essex didn't have to deal with Winchester anymore. They've kind of been the top program in Division III, and so they're going for their fourth since 2011. They last won in 2018. If they had a season last year, they probably would have won too. But they beat Cohasset yesterday 3-2 in the state semifinals. They're playing that old powerhouse, the Academy of Advanced Math and Science, I believe it's called, in the state finals. So that's going to be tomorrow, 11 a.m. up in Westford. They moved it to an indoor facility because those temperatures tomorrow are supposed to be just as bad as they are on Tuesday night. So they're taking no chances moving that inside.
Isn't that where the Williams sisters went to school? The Academy of Science and Math there.
They're undefeated. I have no idea who they've played, though. There are a lot of basketball teams Manchester Essex has played in the tournament, girls in the past, that have ridiculous records too, that they've steamrolled by 30 points. So I have to say they're the favorite. I think the last 3 times they've gotten to the state finals and played the West Central winner, they've won 5-0. So, I think they got to be the heavy favorite there with the team they played. They've just been unbelievable. Starts with that, number one singles. Stephanie Pratt did. I think she lost one match in the Cal. Newburyport has a really good number one, and she rolled 6-0, 6-0 against a good player yesterday. And their number one doubles tandem is just as dominant. It's Parker Brooks and Gracie Susko, and they've just been steamrolling everybody too. So, they're 16-1 at the moment, going for another state title.
And again, all these kids grow up playing at the MAC too, Nick?
Oh, probably. So they're such an interesting case. They've had girls who have been their number one singles players as like middle schoolers, and then they won't play as high schoolers because it's kind of not much they can gain from it anymore. They play on this private tournament tour, and then they'll come back and just have fun as seniors, and they'll win it all. I don't think that's not the case this season, but it's been the case for a couple of the teams in the past.
Nick, what about Rockport and Gloucester sports? What else? What can you share with us from this spring tournament?
Yeah, well, Rockport baseball has had its deepest tournament run ever. Went to the Division IV North Finals on Monday, lost a heartbreaker 6-5 to St. Joseph's Prep. That was a close game, could have gone either way. The heat was a factor. I know that all the pitchers were kind of laboring. St. Joseph's pitcher actually passed out on the bench in between the 5th and 6th innings and didn't finish the game. And then Rockport started hammering their reliever. He just got out of it by the skin of his teeth. That was a big time turning point in the game. Rockport had their chances. They had 11 hits. St. Joseph's only had 8, but St. Joseph's Prep they were tough to put away. They scored all 6 runs with 2 outs. And then Rockport left the tie-in run at second after getting the potential tie-in run thrown out at the plate. So they had a couple tough base running situations late, which kind of looms large in a 1-run game. Guy thrown out at the plate trying to score from first on an overthrow to first base. It was kind of a weird field dimensions. There was no fence, and the grass was long, so the ball was kind of getting lost in the grass. And I don't know if they could even see where the ball was, but the first baseman did. He threw a strike home, got him out. That was kind of the difference in the game right there. But Rockport kind of a Cinderella story. They finished 6-9 in the regular season, but I think they were better than their record showed. And then they won 3 straight tournament games. Took care of business in the first 2, and then the big one was the 3-1 upset over Hamilton Wenham at Hamilton Wenham, which Phil was at. A huge performance from Fru Rowan on the mound, got him through that one.
Yeah, I wasn't at the game Monday, but I'm wondering if he had to have any dental work done after fouling a ball off his face, and he had some bloody teeth and whatnot. Wouldn't come out of the game though, but it looked like he might have needed to visit Dr. Toothy there after the game. So I don't know what happened to him there, but that was a great game. I mean, I was really impressed by how they played. Him with the Wenham is excellent. And, Rockport went out and beat their top gun. They did it with small ball. They didn't have a ball out of the infield for a base hit, yet they still found a way to win. So really a nice season for John Parisi, who's a great guy, really good baseball man. So I was happy for John. John is, like I said, John's a real good guy, and nice to see them have a nice run.
And while we're in that neighborhood, Nick, what about the Fishermen this spring?
Yeah, well, they're two top teams. They got knocked out in the semifinals last Friday. Gloucester baseball got clobbered by Bishop Fenwick 11-0. That game was never really, well, it was 2-0 through 4 innings, and Fenwick scored 9, kind of got away from Gloucester with a 9-run fifth. But Gloucester didn't really threaten much against Fenwick starter Anthony Marino. He kind of shut him down, heavy fastball, and he had a breaking ball to go with it, and that one got out of hand. Gloucester softball actually had a really interesting finish. They lost 4-3 to Tewksbury. And it came down to a play at the plate. It was actually, not your average play at the plate. Base hit, scored a run to make it 4-3, and kind of the ball short hopped into the plate. The catcher blocked it, and it kind of shot away in front of her towards the pitching rubber. And the catcher got up, picked up the ball, ran home, and the Gloucester runner trying to score from first tagged her out for the final out of the game. So that's how the game ended. It was a close play too. Definitely out was the right call, but it was a close play. But yeah, that's about as unique a finish as you'll see. What was it? An 8-2 double play to, no, sorry, not an 8-2 double play, but an 8-2 put out to end the game.
Wow. Phil, let me throw it to you. Do you want to go to lacrosse or do you want to go to baseball? What do you think?
Let's go to baseball, because we mentioned Fenwick baseball, and Willie can kind of piggyback off of that.
All right. Matt, you want to pick us up there with baseball? By the way, Matt had an interesting note on his Twitter involving Dave Wilbur, former Beverly coach. So maybe you can work that one in too.
Well, the Crusaders of Bishop Fenwick have gone back to back as North champions. Of course, winning the title in 2019, and 2020 was canceled. So, I guess that 2 in a row, but 3 years running, I don't know exactly how you're supposed to, denote that. But anyway, they're the champs again. They go on to the semis. That, this is a team that came into the tournament. We talked about it a few weeks ago, losing 5 in a row, and all of a sudden they get hot. The bats get hot, and they outscore the opponents in the North tournament like 48-4. And the last 4 games in a row were all shutouts. I mean, you beat the Northeastern Conference North champion 11-0. You beat a Stoneham team that was really good, that hadn't allowed a run in the tournament yet out of that tough Middlesex League, also 11-0. I'm sorry, that was 6-0, not 11. But nonetheless, I mean, just firing on all cylinders. You got to give all the credit to Crispin Loescher, the senior pitcher, threw a 1-hitter against Stoneham. That was his best start of the season. Certainly one of the best starts of his Fenwick career. He's going to go pitch at Stonehill, so he's very, very good. And just the bats have come alive. I mean, Chris Faraka, catcher, wore down during the season, didn't have the average he wanted, and he's got a team-high 12 RBI in the playoffs, designated hitter now. So when you can add a guy like that, and he comes through in the clutch, that certainly helps. So they're going to go to Medfield tomorrow. Medfield's 19-1, so that's going to be a big challenge for Fenwick. They're looking to get back in the state final for the first time since I think 2006, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been 2004 even. So been a while, but it's funny. Their coach Russ Steves, playing for Kevin McCarthy, was on Kevin McCarthy's staff for a long, long time, and to be mentioned in the same breath with Coach Mack as a guy that's won 2 North titles now. I know that means a lot to Russ, and it's pretty cool to see him carrying on the tradition there as well.
Yeah, I was surprised Coach Steve said they were hitting 182 late in the season this year. I thought that was the best lineup I'd seen all season. I haven't seen St. John's Prep and, their opponents like you guys have. But as far as the NEC and the Cal, I thought they had a better lineup than any NEC or Cal team I'd seen. They were just tough outs 1 through 9. Everybody grinded. Everybody made good contact.
Yeah, they ran really hot and cold. I mean, the 2 guys at the top, Emerson and Gonzalez, have really hit all year in every game. and the other 7 guys have been really streaky, and they're all hot right now. So that's a tough thing to contend with in baseball when everybody gets hot. Look out below.
It seemed like you mentioned that Faraka is especially hot. What's he got, like 12 ribbies and 5 playoff games or something crazy like that?
Yeah, he's caught fire, and I think when he's hitting, it kind of lets everybody else slot in. It's almost like pitching rotation, or almost like he's almost like the David Krejci for the Bruins. Like you always got that top line, and when the second line's scoring, it makes everybody's life so much easier, right? He's sort of that second line guy, so to speak, to do an analogy. When he's hitting, and all the rest of the pieces fall into place, you can keep the chain moving, and it just makes a world of difference when when you're not relying on 1 or 2 guys to carry your offense. And should mention Tucker Destino too, a Gloucester native. I know it meant a lot to him to be able to play against his old friends at his old hometown ballpark out there on Friday. He's been playing great. He's up to 19 runs scored on the season, so he's been a really good on base guy for Fenwick. In the bottom half of the order, and been doing a lot of scoring. And the reason he's at the bottom is because he gets on base in front of Gonzalez and Emerson. So when they come up their second and third time, they can get some ribbies too. So the turnover in the lineup, has been really good for Fenwick.
Nick, can I assume that Destino is a relation to the famous Destino sub shop in Gloucester?
He is. I'm not sure the exact. I think his grandfather, I believe, was the original Destino sub shop.
Okay.
Yeah, he
that
definitely.
That name carries a lot of clout on Cape Ann.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Destino name. So
his two,
Tucker making them proud on the diamond, obviously.
Yeah, oh yeah, and his 2 older sisters were great girls lacrosse players at Gloucester too. I think they were both 100-goal scorers. So I mean, he comes from a family of athletes.
Well, and as the 4 of us all know, that the biggest X factor in high school playoff baseball is pitching. And it seems like our teams that have reached the state semifinals are getting just that. They're getting that pitching that they need. Willie, whether it was Loescher throwing the 1-hitter on Monday, the game that I saw with Belleville throwing the 2-hitter, even going back to last week, that aforementioned Rockport Hamilton Wenham game, through Rowan throwing a gem for Rock. That's what's going to get it done. If you can save arms, you can keep your pitch count down. Obviously, keep the ball in the yard and let the defense do the work behind you when you're not striking guys out. I think more than any other sport, that is the biggest X factor at this time of the year. If you get the pitch in, you're going to have success.
And depth too this year. I think we've seen with the pitch counts, it kind of turns into like the Williamsport tournament a bit. It's like a close games are getting broken open once you got to go deep into that bullpen. And the teams with the depth are the teams that are really able to claw their way through.
Good point. Yeah.
Matt, you want to pick up on the prep there in the state semifinals, or Phil, either one of you guys on that piece?
I'll defer to the expert, and I can chime in a little bit.
Well, I think, interesting thing, they it's going to be Prep and Zavarian, which is, I'm sure, shocking to all the baseball fans out there. As we discussed a few weeks ago, two teams that belong in a Super 8. And, it's funny, like, I think last time Prep won Division I North, which was back in 2010, they played Zavarian in the state semifinals. And I think the time before that, in 2006, they played BC High. So every time the Prep wins the actual North, they play somebody from their own league in the state semis here, which ought to tell you something if you're paying attention. But I guess the MIA needs more data on that. But as we talk about all the time with different sports on the podcast here, like, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, right? I mean, we saw that just last week when Masconomet beat Danvers. They had lost to them twice in the season, and so the Prep's hoping for the same thing. They lost to Zavarian twice. They feel like they didn't play their best baseball. It was a 2-1 game and a 4-2 game. The 4-2 game, the Prep made 4 errors, which they certainly don't want to do that again on a stage like this. And I think Zavarian had 7 hits between the 2 games. So that's pretty good. I mean, if you're talking pitch wise, now obviously X factor here is this game's going to be metal bats, right? Those 2 games are wood bats in the Catholic Conference, so that's interesting. And One other X factor, the Preps, kind of 1A pitcher to Sam Beliveau, Peter Martin, has not pitched against Zavarian yet this year. So I'm sure Zavarian has a scout report. They've probably seen him in person, the coaches have, and things like that. But you do wonder if that changes things a little bit, or maybe gives the Prep a slight edge in that Zavarian's going to get a different look on the mound this time as opposed to last time.
I have to think, and I'm basing this off of, one game I went to on Monday, but the metal bats certainly make a huge difference for these guys who are used to playing with wooden bats throughout the season. I mean, Pat D'Amico jumped on a first pitch of the game, fastball up in the zone, absolutely hammered it about 20 feet over the fence and left center at Lincoln Sudbury on Monday. I mean, it couldn't have been a more picture perfect swing connection and driving through the ball and giving it that arc to get it out of the ballpark. So that's a huge benefit, I think, for these teams, not only to reach this point, but to use to their advantage. And when you're talking St. John's and Zavarian, these aren't all kids from the same town. These are elite players from all over the place that, are generally in their lineup because they can swing the stick pretty well to begin with. So you give them that little extra added oomph. That makes a big difference. And one other thing I mentioned to Willie is I was really impressed with the play of Chris Dirks, who was behind the plate for St. John's on Monday. Danvers native, did a great job calling the game with Sam Beliveau, framed his pitches well, very active behind the plate. No pass balls, anything in the dirt, he gobbled right up. But on the bases too, he really impressed me. Lined the ball to, I wouldn't call it left center, but to the right of the center fielder. Had double on his mind right out of the box, flew around first base. By the time the center fielder realized he was going for second, he had to hurry to throw in. It came in late. Dirks had himself a hustle double. He stole a couple bases. He made things happen on the base pass. He scored a run. I like the energy he played with, and I thought his team kind of fed off of him in that regard a lot.
I think too. I mean,
Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Phil mentioned the wood bats, and much has been made of the four North baseball champions all being private schools, right? You got St. John's Prep, St. Mary's, Bishop Fenwick, and St. Joe's, 3 Saints and a Bishop, right? And it's easy to point to that and point to the fact that the kids come from all the communities. They get the transfers, they may or may not use the R word that we don't talk about. But I think, like Phil said, that the wood bats is a big factor. We always see that in the Catholic Conference, and the Bay State League, which is all public schools, usually has the same success in the tournament because of the wood bats. And the other thing I think is no coincidence is both those leagues had league tournaments before the state tournament, which allowed these people to gear up, and get ready. And I think, especially with the CCL, not so much Catholic Conference, because St. John's Prep only played, I think, 13 games. But the CCL played a million games. St. Mary's of Lynn played 21 games in the regular season. Masconomet tournament final last night was their 19th game of the year. And I mean, so that's like an extra 30 innings of development for kids that missed developing last year. And I think that was a huge factor.
The St. Mary's girls basketball team had played something like 21 games.
Yeah.
But everybody else was lucky to get, let's say, like 14. So kudos to Jeff Newhall for making that happen over there. And really the athletic directors in the CCL, I thought that was great. I would love to see all leagues do something like that. I think it creates interest. I think it gets you ready for the tournament. Hey, maybe it's a one-off because of the year that was, but I do feel like it benefited the teams that took part in it. Certainly this spring, and even to give those teams and say like the winter and fall 2 seasons, some semblance of like a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, especially this year with the disparity, right? I mean, that's the difference. Usually everybody plays 20 in the regular season, and this year they were really the only ones who did, and I think it set them up well. I mean, I think when you look at Division IV and Hamilton Wenham, and the fact that they played like 2 games over the last 4 weeks of the season or something like that, because their schedule was so front loaded. I mean, that's a team that really benefited from having a Cal tournament and being sharp. or being allowed to play a non-league game, against the St. John's Prep like they usually do, or Danvers or somebody like that. I think Hamilton really suffered from the scheduling rules. I mean, that's a team that if they were able to play the schedule like St. Mary's did, really would have probably, potentially still be playing here.
Hey, one last thing, just in Division II, it's only the Eastern Mass Final. That's the end of the road for the St. Mary's team to beat Masco this week. And they'll be playing on Thursday against Hopkinton, as you can see right there. Willie, you had a note again. They won 8 straight games as St. Mary's in the tournament, right? But their last team to beat them was what team?
Oh, Beverly High School, Mr. Dave Wilbur.
Yeah. One
day after Coach Dana's Spartans retired Roger Day in extra innings, they had to go to Beverly, and Panthers beat them on their way to the state final, and that was the last
Spencer
time.
Brown and company said,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
sir, thank you.
Yeah, that was the last time they lost a playoff game, and it doesn't look like they'll be losing one anytime soon. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, Cabral's only a junior, right? And the pitcher who shut out Masco last night is a freshman. So, they not only are they maybe not going to lose the tournament this year, they might not lose one again, until the next presidential election or something.
Hey, Phil, we have maybe 10 more minutes or a little bit less here, but let me hand it off to you, and you can pick up wherever you want to. We can also make quick note of a couple of softball games. Danvers lost this week and to Dighton Rehoboth, so they're out. Peabody lost this week to Billerica, 2 teams that had great playoff runs, great seasons as well.
Yeah, let's touch on. Do you want to call up the Division I state wrestling bracket? We'll just touch on that real quick.
I'll
We can
see
go to
what
the
I can
softball
do.
maybe end with some cross.
Yeah, you want wrestling now? Go away.
Yeah, we can just. I just
okay.
want to mention that St. John's Prep is wrestling for a state dual meet title Wednesday afternoon on the Prep campus, 4:00. They're undefeated, and I think wrestling can be a little bit of the forgotten sport this spring. Traditionally a winter sport, and there aren't as many teams, and we don't think of it in that spring vein necessarily. But the Eagles have rolled pretty much everyone they've played. You can see there they were 14-0. They beat who was it, Methuen, I want to say, Willie, in the North final. Then they hammered St. John's at Shrewsbury, of course, Catholic Conference opponent, and they will be taking on the Whalers of New Bedford in the state finals indoors tomorrow at St. John's Prep. Thank God for indoors air conditioning over there. So good luck to Manny Costa and his team. Just wanted to touch on that first.
So we are recording on Tuesday, so airing on Wednesday. But yeah, so that's as you can see the dates there, the 30th meaning Wednesday. So yeah,
and New Bedford's also undefeated, so should be a good match. I mean, I would think that the Eagles will prevail, but because I am not Gene Oakland, the wrestling expert, I can't say that with certainty. So good luck to the Prep. And you mentioned softball. I had a chance to see Danvers beat Tewksbury for the North title on Saturday. And what did I text you, Willie? Something like 5 pitches into the game. I can tell you right now that Danvers isn't losing to this team. You just got the sense after watching warm-ups and the confidence that Danvers showed. They were playing some great ball in the postseason. Lily Eldridge was dominant. She threw 3 straight shutouts before beating Tewksbury 7-2. Yes, this season was ended by a pretty strong Dighton Rehoboth team on Monday, but takes nothing away from the terrific season the Falcons had. And boy, Peabody, they were the class of the North Shore this year. Buzzed through the regular season undefeated, beat everybody in the tournament until they got upset by Bill Ricker in the North final. But extremely young team. What are they? 1 senior, Willie, on the team?
If that, I mean, 1, maybe 2.
Okay. So they'll be certainly back and remembering what happened this year in an attempt to go even further next year. So Abby Betancourt, Player of the Year, Sister Isabel, Avery Greco. I mean, all kinds of talent over there. Spack, Amanda Spack, a lot of talented players.
Penny.
So what's that?
Penelope's back.
Penelope, what did I say? Andy, sorry about that.
Emma Bloom too, real good.
Yep. So great seasons by the Falcons and the Tanners on the diamond, and we want to wish them well this summer, whatever they decide to do for tournament ball. Okay, so that leaves us with lacrosse. We saw the Masconomic girls get knocked out this weekend. They were top seed in Division I North, but ran into a buzzsaw in Chelmsford, which was the number 2 seed. They were also undefeated, just had a little bit more. So they ended Masco's season with a great first season in the conference for Masco, and terrific year overall. They only have that one loss. St. John's Prep also has one loss, but they are in the state final. They're going to be playing BC High for the 4th time this season on Wednesday evening at St. John's Prep. So if you're listening, that would be tonight, 7:30 over at Glatz Field. Should be a terrific game. St. John's would, in my mind, have to be a favorite, maybe to a big favorite. They have won 2 out of 3 meetings with BC High. Their only loss, obviously, if they have one loss, was to BC High, 8-7 in overtime in Dorchester. Both meetings at St. John's were routs. Prep won 14-5 in May. And then in the Catholic Conference tournament final, they won 14-4. They got out to an 8-goal lead in that game and just kind of blew the doors off of their fellow Eagles. John Pinchon, the Prep head coach, has been saying all season this is the most athletic team he's ever coached, and knowing his background with not only St. John's, but also he's had some great tournament winning, North Championship Beverly teams. He knows where he's talking about there and has a base to draw. But these guys are super athletic. They're incredibly deep up front of attack. They have 4 different sets of midfielders. They got a great defenseman. They have 3, even 4 goalies they can turn to. And, what they do so well is they just blitz you right from the start. I mean, there's no slow going with this team. They're going 100 miles an hour from that first faceoff, which they usually win. They take it downfield and score. They come back, they win the next faceoff, they take it downfield and score. This repeats several times. Next thing you know, their opponents find themselves down 4-0, 5-6 minutes into the game, and it's awfully tough to play catch up against this team. So they really don't have any weaknesses. They're strong all over the field. They win about 75% of their faceoffs. They're great on ground balls. They're airtight defensively. Caden Quirk in net. Michael Ayers leading a terrific defense with Emmett Schillinger, Kristen Rooney, Sean O'Brien, another long stick midi back there. The midfield line is ridiculous. Michael Kelly, Pat Atkins, Ty Ambrose, and the guys up front, the attackman, Jimmy Ayers is terrific, Tommy Sonny, Luke Surratt, all kinds of guys that can score at any given time. Now, BC High did beat them once, so certainly they can beat them again. I just think it's going to be an awfully tough task for them to come up, beat the Prep on their home field, and deny St. John's Prep their first Division I state title in a decade.
Well, gentlemen, let's say if we want to go around once, if anybody else has anything else to say, we have a few minutes left. Bill, anything else you want to add on with lacrosse or?
Yeah, I just want to say, congratulations to Steve Driscoll and the Bishop Fenwick Crusaders. I mean, their team had started the year 0-3, and then they were 1-4, and it very easily could have been a rebuilding year, but they pulled it together. I thought this was his best coaching job over there. Team got Kevin Wood back on defense. They got Stefano Fabiano back up front. They got 60-plus goals from Liam Hill. Got some really strong play from George Costolides in the net. Anthony Sasso had a great freshman year for them. Max Grennett played really well. Aiden Anthony played really well. Jake Connolly played very well. They turned it around and reached the Division III North semifinals, where they ran into a powerful Newburyport team, which ultimately won the North. But great season for Fenwick. Played a classic game in the tournament against Essex Tech, 20-19, which was a boon for both programs. So just wanted to congratulate Steve and the Crusaders on a great season.
Nick, how about yourself?
Yeah, Manchester Essex girls lacrosse. They made the Division II North finals for the 3rd year in a row. Played Newburyport for the 3rd year in a row, and it was the rubber match. Newburyport was the class of the division this year. They rolled 17-2 in that final, but ME came in as kind of the dark horse, the number 10 seed, and they rolled through their side of the bracket. They were lucky enough to avoid both Newburyport and Ipswich, who seem to be the top two teams. But they buried Bishop Fenwick. They crushed Essex Tech, and they handled Swampscott pretty easily too, until they ran into a buzzsaw. I think that Newburyport team was pretty fired up to see Manchester Essex there after that 2019 North Final. Manchester Essex won by a goal, and they kind of bled the last 6 minutes of the clock off in like one or two possessions. It was a really tense game there. So I'm sure Newburyport wanted their revenge, and they got it. And they've advanced to the semifinals, which I think they're playing right now.
Yeah. Willie?
Track. Real quick on the track. The All-States are over. We gotta not to belabor the point. St. John's Prep. Geez, we talk about them a lot. How they do pretty well over there, but. Nathan Lopez, only a sophomore. He wins the state title in the 2 mile, 9:06. So that's 4:30, give or take, per mile, 4:36, something like that. Ridiculous. Breaks a 39-year-old St. John's Prep record from 1983. So that's pretty good. He's only a sophomore. He, that was almost 30 seconds faster than he had run the week before. The week before, he won the mile, and he finished like 4th or 5th in the 2 mile. This time they decided we're going to focus on the 2, keep you fresh, don't run the mile, and it pays huge dividends there. Their guy, Jarrett Young, the sprinter, wins the state title in the 1/4 mile. And then the highlight for the girls, Jolene Murphy from Peabody only finished 4th in the 1/4 mile, but she broke her school record in the event, 56 something seconds. I mean, there's a lot of boys out there running track that don't run the 1/4 mile in 56 seconds. And I think there were 5 girls in the race under 57, which is just amazing, incredible. So, I mean, what a race that was, the girls' 1/4 mile there. Jolene has 6 individual school records at Peabody High, and she's a member of 6 other school record relays as the anchor. So that's pretty good. Coach Braz called her the greatest sprinter that they've ever had over there in her career. And, they just sent the sprinter to the Olympics, who's a distance runner now. So that just goes to show you that's a pretty good career that Jolene had.
All right, gentlemen, I was gonna toss in one other subject here, but we don't have enough time. But I'm gonna ask you for one word response on this question. In the last day, how many glasses of ice water have you consumed? Give me a number. Nick, how many glasses of ice water?
I don't know. If you go in Gatorade, I'd like say a dozen.
Okay, Gator. Okay. Willie?
0.
0 ice water. Okay.
No
Matt,
ice water?
0 ice water.
I'm not into water. No, not for me.
All right. This is Julius.
Yeah.
This is my flask, 26-ounce flask here. And I bet I filled this up at least 6 times both of the last 2 days. So
Yeah.
floating.
I'm with you. I'm with you. At least that. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Always good seeing you, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.